It's a hold down, what you know now. Breaking you round town, girl, let's calm down. That's where your knees, they belong. Cause I'm a king up on my throne. If you give me my knees will be grown. Exponentially, dog, with the flow. I keep it moving like the waves in the seas. Still doing this shit, nothing but breeze. I surround myself with a few breezes to give me ease. I do it how I do. Just make sure you eating your stew mixed with the peas. It's your boy J Thoughts here once again, and as always, hit those favorite buttons of mine. That's that like, that share, that subscribe. Helps the channel grow tremendously. I'm here with my lovely special guest again, Miss Jay Shantae.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jay Shantae, CEO of Legacy of Mary. What up?
What's going on, man? So we, of course, again, we've been, having some pretty productive conversations offline. But I wanted to bring it to the folks' attention because you mentioned you brought up a couple like good gems, and I thought that'd be a good conversation for us to have, and I think it'd be beneficial, for the audience to hear. Right. So I had a question.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which comes first, leadership or submission?
Well, okay, so for me, like, I'm in this zone where I'm like listening to men more, and I'm like trying to be in my femininity. And so if a man can't lead me in a conversation and allow me to be submissive to him, then for me, that's a red flag, because if he can't lead me in this conversation, he can't lead me in our relationship, I'm assuming. And that means that I have to be in my masculine, and I don't want to be like that, So could be that. Mm-hmm.
So because you said if he doesn't allow me to be in my feminine energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain, go deeper on what does that mean to you when a man doesn't allow that to happen for you?
Because he's expecting me to take charge. And as a person who thrives in her masculinity, if I have to take charge, I'm going to take charge, because we're not going to sit here and waste my time. And so I'm going to take charge. I consider it like this. I'm a beast, and I know that I'm a beast. I need somebody that's able to tame this beast. If you can't tame this beast, then I'm going to devour you. I'm going to take over everything, and I'm going to be the one in control. And I don't want to be like that. I'm tired of being like that. I want to be in my femininity. I want to sit back and allow a man to do his work and his job of just leading me.
Gotcha. Okay,
and
so a woman who claims, this is not to pick on you, but it's some good points that you bring up.
You could pick on me.
A woman who says, I'm a beast, right? I need to be tamed.
Mm-hmm.
The question is the man who's able to tame you willing to do so? Does he even want to undergo that type of burden or that type of task to tame a beast when he can just get with someone who's not a beast?
I think that it probably depends on the man and the qualities that he sees in the woman. But for me, I'm not a beast coming off like right away. I'm only a beast when I have to step up and make the plans. So you wouldn't know if you were in your masculine energy. You wouldn't even know that I'm a beast. You wouldn't even know that I take charge, because you would be in your position. That's why your question is good. Which comes first, the leadership or submissive? If you lead, I will be submissive. But if you're not leading, we're just sitting here floating, I'm going to take charge. That's not my fault.
Okay, so do you believe that femininity,
mm-hmm.
right? Because submission is a form of femininity.
It is.
Do you believe that there's conditions to you being feminine?
Well, yeah. Well, I feel like you, especially in the society that we live in right now, I feel like you can't always be in your feminine. Sometimes you do have to. There's a book that I'm reading, and they describe when you have to tap into, a woman has to tap into her masculine energy. It's called an animus, and when a man has to tap into his feminine energy, it's called an anima. But basically, like when you're at work, you have to tap into it because you don't want people taking advantage of you. But you should be able to take it. You should be able to stop that when you're in the presence of your masculine man. And a lot of women can't. That's why they end up too masculine for a relationship, or they have a man that's very feminine and they have to be in their masculine energy with their man.
Right. So I guess to the question, which comes first, leadership or submission, it makes me think, like, does a submissive woman attract a man who's a leader? Or I guess what I'm trying to say is a woman who's so in tune with her masculinity will never even attract the leader type of a man. So how does she get out of that in order to draw in the male masculine energy that she desires, when in fact she's doing the very same things that are repelling those men to begin with? So like men who are in their masculine leadership energy are looking for essentially the opposite of that, right? We're looking for feminine submission, cooperation, etc. But if these women who claim to be able to turn it on and off depending on the man, well, what if there's no man in the picture to begin with? What is your default? Is it masculine or feminine? Most of the women who say that,
my default is feminine.
Okay, I mean, I believe you if you say that, but a lot of women,
I feel like
a lot of women don't have that.
That exactly, and that's why I said it's what we have to realize is that their feminine and masculine energy are not sex driven. Like, you know, like for each particular sex, a man can be feminine and that be okay. A woman can be masculine and that be okay. You have to be self-aware of which spectrum you fall in, whether you're male or female. And there are thriving relationships where the woman is masculine and the male is female, but you have to have the male-female, the masculine and feminine energy in order to work. Whether your husband is the feminine and you're the masculine, you have to have those two balances. In my at least what I'm researching, what I'm feeling. So I have decided that I'm feminine, and so I will always, my default is always feminine. But if I'm in a conversation with a man and I have to control the conversation, I'm going to get bored of the conversation, first of all, because I have to tap into my masculine, and then there might not be another conversation.
Right. So my question in that scenario is, why are you talking to men who are in that position in the first place?
You don't. That's the thing. You don't know if a man can lead a conversation until you can have the conversation with him. That's why I suggest women. I do not like it when women are like, "Oh no, he didn't take me to Ruth's because he tried to take me to Starbucks." That's a perfect first date, because you can literally see if this is the man that you're going to waste your MAC makeup on. Like, you know, a coffee date is perfect because you can see if he can lead me in a date, if he's a gentleman, if he opened the door. Like you need to know a person before you have real intelligent conversations with them, you know? Yeah. So have the coffee date for 20, 30 minutes, see if this person is even worth the vibe, and then go on the expensive date where you put on your nice dress and you go buy the earrings and stuff.
I mean, I think that's pretty good advice. That's good advice because, you know, a lot of women don't understand that, and they're shooting themselves in the foot before they even get a chance, you know, to take things further with a potential mate. And the problem is that they're being, inundated with a lot of these outside influences in terms of marketing, in terms of trying to essentially get money out of the economy. We're a consumer economy. And so if you don't take me to Nobu or Benihana or Ruth Chris or what have you on day one, then you're a broke bum nigga. And it's not necessarily the case, because the men who have ascended to the levels to be even in a position to take you to wherever you want to go or wherever he thinks, you know, would be a good ass time aside from just a Starbucks visit. Well, those men are going to see that and they're going to smell that on you right from day one. And that's going to repel them in the first place. There's a lot of men who would love to do those things for you. The problem is that traditionally speaking, there would have been no issue with that. But we're not in traditional times anymore.
We're not.
The women are no longer traditional. So men, we just go with the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is not to invest both economically and emotionally into a situation where we don't see any ROI, no return on our investment.
Right.
And so a lot of women don't realize that men are playing the long game. We're looking down the line. If she's this much headache on day one, what is day 101 going to look like? And so they're simply bowing out of that game altogether. And so the ultimate outcome of what a woman is wanting, she's not even getting that part. You want to shit on the guy for bringing you to Starbucks, but you don't know if that's the CEO of Apple. He not fronting and trying to put on this big facade for you. He could just be a regular down-to-earth brother who could do wonders for you in your life. But he says, hey, let me talk to this girl, because a lot of us, we don't even know, is this woman even going to know how to behave in those types of settings? I've got to have her one-on-one to be able to see what type of energy she's going to come with, so that I can start planning accordingly our future dates. But if day one we're at Starbucks and she's giving me the side eye because I've only spent $3 on a cup of coffee, and she thinks I'm a broke bum or I'm a cheap motherfucker or some shit like that,
right?
Then you're playing right into the hand of what he already anticipated. You're proving him right to begin with, which is why he didn't want to waste that date on Nobu, when he knows that you're just out here for a money grab. You're out here to take. You're not out here to give. And it's the spirit. It's the spirit of that energy and how they communicate that, which is what they don't realize that we can see, right? And so, which comes first, leadership or submission? My answer is both, because they happen parallel. A man is working on his leadership skills while a woman is in her submissive energy. Those are the two that'll meet. But if a woman is what's the word? If she's conditionally submissive, then the man who's always in his leadership is gonna smell that on her, and he's gonna call
submissive.
You said what's traditionally submissive?
Oh, I thought you said conditionally.
Oh, conditionally is the example you brought up. Like, oh, I'll be submissive for the right man. I'll be feminine for the right man. No, you either are feminine or you're not. That's independent of who's around you.
You're right. I get that.
A man doesn't say, oh, I'm only masculine when I'm around the right woman. What? What type of shit is that? So you telling me if you ain't got a girl around you, you out here just painting your nails and wearing dresses? You need a woman to validate your manhood? No. You should be a man, because if you want to meet a woman, you got to be a man first.
Right.
If she meets you and she says, oh, this is a little boy, she's turned off. So we got to work on all the shit we need to bring in preparation for bringing that to that potential table. We've got to already have those things up front.
Right.
For a woman to come to that same table after this man's brought all of that, and then be looking at him like she the job interviewer and being like, let me see if his fit is needed for my submission. Let me look at his resume first. He's also going to be looking at that employer being like, I don't even know if I want to work here now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this looks like this is going to be a problem. And it goes back to the point I had mentioned to you offline, was it's a power move. There's too much power moves being played, and it's falling out of the natural balance of where men and women are supposed to interact. Because there's too many women are trying to be in their power moves, and that's going to repel the men who have that power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but okay, so I see your point. I get what you're saying, because I get what you're saying. But don't you think that a lot of women have been through it where they had to have, like, the struggle makes them have to be in the power seat, and that some men do come with energy that you do have to be. So you're automatically coming into like any situation with a man expecting that he's not going to be a leader. At least on my point, I have dated a lot of men where they don't lead, and I was married to a man who, and he was a good man, but he just wasn't able to lead. And so I had to be in the masculine for so long that it's very, very, very hard for me to not tone it down, but to not activate that if I feel that I need to. But I get what you're saying. Like, I should automatically come with all my feminine and not even like think about being masculine. But it's the core of me. It's inside of me now, unfortunately. And it's something that us women have to work on. But you guys have to make it a safe place for us to, because sometimes we're scared that if we submit to you guys, that you'll take advantage, or that if we submit to you, that you're going to lead us the wrong way. And that's why I said I want to know if you can lead the conversation, because what if you lead me down the wrong path, or what if you're not even leading? We just sitting there floating, So men need to make it also very safe for us to be, I feel men need to make it also safe for us to be feminine.
I would
where
say
we don't have to come ready.
I mean, that's fair. I would ask, let's flip the roles, right? So let's say I'm a man, and I mean, that's not flipping it. I am a man, but I'm saying, like, let's flip the dynamic of the situation you just outlined. Let's ask the man in that position. He say, "Hey, man, hey, let's talk about all your exes with me." And he says, "Man, I don't know, for some reason, every girl I've ever been with in a relationship is super masculine, bruh. Like, I don't know how to get these feminine women." What would you ask him? What about you keeps attracting masculine women? Is something in him, the energy, the spirit of the way he conducts or communicates himself, which is either going to repel those feminine women that he comes across, and then only going to attract the masculine women that he comes across? My thought is, perhaps something about him emits a lot of feminine energy. So to your point, well, I'm afraid if I get with men, they're going to do X, Y, and Z and take advantage of that. This is why men value youth and purity. Because a woman who hasn't been through those type of experiences wouldn't have that same fear-based mindset in getting into a new relationship. She hasn't been tainted with a lot of the bullshit out here in the street. So if I get a woman at 18, let's say we're both 18 years old, we're each other's first and onlys. Statistically speaking, that has the highest rate of longevity in a relationship. Right? But most women nowadays are collecting far more bodies than most men. You're throwing around a box, willy-nilly, giving it to this man and that man. And then when you finally get up out of that shit, because y'all can't do that for as long as we can do that. Hoe phase is not a thing with men for a reason. There's no such thing as a hoe phase. What you try to deem as hoe behavior to a man is what's hoe behavior to you, not to us. We don't go out there collecting a lot of bodies and getting tainted in the same way that a woman is, because men take longer to bake. We said last time, right? Y'all are like Krispy Kreme. Y'all come out hot and ready. We're like turkeys. We're like prime rib. We need to marinate. We need to baste. We need to sit in the fridge for 2 days, and we need to come out and be on low and slow smoke cooked for the next day and a half, so we can come out ready, tender. But the problem is that too many women are giving themselves to the wrong men in their highest value days. In their prime age, they're giving themselves to weak, non-leadership minded men. And then when they finally come up out of that and they grow up and say, you know what, I'm looking for something different now. You've now carried all the trauma from all those other shits into the next guy. So the guy that is that dude, he's asking what the Carfax is. Then when he sees your resume, he's like, yo, you think I'm about to follow after this dude? If all you dealt was with X, Y, and Z in this trauma, and I'm not that, why would I come and deal with that wholeheartedly? Why would I step into that situation? What do I get out of that? Because you're going to constantly compare all the other men you were with to me. And you're already coming in bad faith, right? You're coming in thinking this shit ain't all the way 100. So why would you automatically give off 100% in a situation you know ain't 100? But then the man who is 100 is looking at you like, you're not being 100 with me right now. He may not call you out on it. He's just going to adjust his actions accordingly. So again, it goes back to self-sabotage. Which comes first? Leadership or submission? Because the man that's leading is looking for the submission. But is the submission looking for the leadership? And if they are, ask themselves, are they really being submissive though? Submissive in the sense of, hey, this next guy, I treat every situation like an Etch-a-Sketch. He gets a clean slate. I'm not going to carry in my past history and trauma into this new situation because I want the best outcomes possible for this situation. So I'm going to treat that accordingly and come in with that type of energy, that type of spirit, that type of mindset. because that's what that type of man is looking for.
Mhm.
Women like to turn a new leaf and then act like all the other leaves don't exist. Just because you turned a new leaf, hey, amen, more power to you. But the right man for you is going to realize a bunch of leaves you let fall in the past, those mean something. Somebody got to come and sweep them leaves up. So for you to look at me like our yard is clean and I'm looking at all these leaves you done left behind, then what? I'm going to say, I think you're capping a little bit. I don't believe you. I don't believe you've turned a new leaf. I see nothing but leaves in your yard. Prove it to me. That's what a leader's gonna say. But a lot of women don't want to do that because that requires you having to do work. It requires you to have to be accountable to your history. All them leaves you left behind is going to require you to go sweep up all them leaves. That's a headache. Anybody know that? Well, you got to do yard works. Nobody wants to sweep up the leaves. Why? Because that shit be all over the place. It take forever to clean that shit up. I'll mow the lawn, nigga. That's a straight line back and forth. You talking about pick up the leaves, you be like, oh God, I gotta get the trash bag, I gotta get the dustpan, I gotta get the rake, I gotta hope the wind don't blow up all the powell I've been stacking up. Like, it's a headache for dudes. So they take the path of least resistance. Let me just move into a place that ain't even got a yard.
Right. Right. I mean, I see that. And I know for me, I'm in a place of trying to heal. Somebody asked me recently, like, what do I want? And when you gave that analogy of like the leaves, that's kind of how I am. I got like stuff everywhere and I don't even know. Every time I pick up something, it's like I got something else to pick up or like to fix about myself. And it's just like, my yard is really messed up. But I think it starts with self-awareness, because a lot of us be like, no, I'm a good woman. Are we? You know, like I had to look at myself like, am I a good woman? What are the things that I need to fix? And one of the things that I had to fix was me acting so masculine. Mm-hmm. And after I did start to change, I'm not totally changed, as you can tell. But after I started to change just like small things, I ended up being approached in presence of men that are actually masculine, and that's how I know the difference now. Right. So it's just small changes that you start to notice, like, dang, like, oh, maybe this is where I was supposed to be the whole time. Like, you know? So absolutely, the outcomes are what it's results based, right? So you're seeing the results of that work. Yeah. And it's not to say that a man is looking for a woman who don't got one single leaf in her backyard. That's not the point. The point is that too many women nowadays will look you directly in your eyeballs, being like, nah, nigga, I ain't got no leaves in my yard. Motherfucker, we in the yard. I'm looking at the leaves. Right. So that's the part where it's like, yo, there's a disconnect in how we're communicating, because men are seeing shit for what it is, because men are brought up to be accountable to their mistakes. They can do a lot of fuck shit, but at some point he's gonna have to come to and realize, oh, I was doing a lot of fuck shit. Right. But at what point is he gonna get there, or get to that point and then look around and being like, all right, I'm ready for women who's also been able to be real about what shit they got, and none of the women is keeping it real. And then when they ask questions that's like challenging their thought process, they get defensive, they start gaslighting, they'll deflect, or they'll try to end the conversation. And then them very same women doing that will then turn around and go to their homegirls and be like, man, see, that's why niggas ain't shit, da da da. Where's the masculine men at? Yeah. It's like you had 12 of them, but none of them was fucking with you because you're a weirdo. Yeah. Like let's be accountable. If every girl I'm messing with, she wind up dropping me after the first time we have sex, I probably got a whack stroke game. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it real. I might be doing something when it come time. We done had all these dates went well. As soon as we hit the bedroom, they stop talking to me. Nigga, it's probably something you doing in the bedroom or something you ain't doing in the bedroom. You know what I mean? But if I'm just gonna constantly be in denial and say, oh man, these hoes ain't shit, these hoes ain't shit. You done met good girls. You done went out with the good ones and the bad ones. Bruh, it's you. Right. So a lot of women aren't having that final come to moment until it's too late.
But then they're
Yeah.
trying to rejigger the process and saying, let me get the short Cliff Note abridged version and try to get the cheat code for infinite lives. You just started on level 1.
Yeah.
It don't work like that. You got to go play the game. You got to go beat some levels.
I can say that is true, because I thought me losing weight and getting on my, like, you know, dressing up and looking cute and being sexy, yeah, that gets the attention, but you still got work. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, they're gonna look past all that. Like, yeah, the sexiness is gonna bring them in, but then they're gonna really see you eventually, and it's like, dang, I gotta work on that other stuff too, huh?
Here's the inverse of it. Here's the nigga that's telling you day one, oh, I'm gonna give you the world, girl. I'm gonna hand you the moon and the stars. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come pull up in the whoop-de-whoop whip and take you out to Nobu day one. This is a nigga going pulling out all the stops, right?
Mm-hmm.
A smart woman's gonna be like, yeah, all right, nigga, we see how long you keep that shit up.
Right.
That's cap. You capping right now, bro. I can tell you just trying to impress me. You trying to do what you think is gonna work and get you what you want the fastest way.
Right.
That's cool, but they could see you. They could see you coming. And so a lot of men is finally waking up because we can be blinded a lot easier. Y'all are more distracting to us. So it's easy to be blinded by your beauty. It's easy to be blinded by, you know, getting some pussy or some shit. That's our biological imperative is the fuck. So we can easily be skewed in our perception of what things are really going on because we thinking with the other head. But when we get old enough and we get enough experience under our belt and be like, oh, it's just pussy, man. That's just another chick. Then we can see it for what it really is. And then that's when we're able to identify the women who are worth a damn. And the problem is that I hate being right a lot of times because I be like, man, let me give this one a chance. Then you talk to her, you be like, damn, she exactly what I thought. You know, I wished I was wrong. I wanted to give her a shot, but she proving me right every time she opened her mouth.
Right.
You know? So what comes first? The leadership or the submission? Because are these women truly submissive? It doesn't mean submit your entire self to every single man you say hello to. That's not the point. The point is the cooperative, feminine energy, the communication style. All of that stuff, when you put it together, it's gonna bring that right man. Whether you meet him today or tomorrow, the right man's gonna want to follow up with you again. And then he's gonna want to confirm what his initial, you know, instinct said about you. Like he'd be like, oh, you know what? I like the way Jay Shantae talk. Like she cool. Like let me call her again next week and see if she's still on that type of time. Let me ask her out for coffee so we can meet face to face and let me vibe out on her energy. What's her presence like? Because here's what I'll tell men. I say this is the real time when men can use their feelings to judge their actions. This is the only time I really advise men to operate in their feelings. Is when they go out with a girl. I go, how does she make you feel? Because our logic, right? Women are typically more emotional. So we have to reel them in and bring them over to the logic side. Men are typically over logic. So sometimes you gotta reel them in and bring them to some feels, right? Like sometimes they gotta be able to relate. Don't mean we don't got them. You know, it just means sometimes we be so like not in it. We don't see the other aspect of it. It don't mean emotions and feelings aren't valid. It just means when it comes time to make a decision, our decisions can't be made in emotions.
Yeah.
Feelings and emotions are two different things, in my opinion. Everybody has feelings, but do you react emotionally based on your feelings? That's what separates. Because every man is going to have some feelings. Oh, I don't like the way he just said that to me. I don't like how she talked to me right now. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to respond out of emotion? Or I'm going to recognize that I'm in my feelings, filter that through logic, and then speak accordingly. There's a few things that are going on in your mind. It's like learning a new language, right? When I'm learning Spanish, I always said, hey, here's a way to tell if you really start grasping the language is if the first thought in your mind is in that language. Because until that point, what you're doing is you're hearing it in English, you're translating it in your mind to Spanish, then you're thinking of what to respond back to in English, then you're translating that in Spanish, and then you speak in Spanish. It may be quick, but all of that calculation is going on behind the scenes.
Right.
So when the first thought out of your mind is when you see something and you see it in the Spanish word, that lets you know, okay, I'm really learning this language.
Right, because it's becoming like my language.
Exactly. So when a woman is saying, hey, I'm submissive by default, or I'm feminine by default, or I'm masculine by default, and I need to be with a man that's in his leadership masculine energy in order for me to submit, and all that sounds to me is like you're trying to learn a new language. So right now you're translating it and filtering it through a masculine mind. You're trying to turn off that masculine part, turn on the feminine part, translate it into feminine, and then communicate it out accordingly. But when you start thinking from the source of femininity is your first thought, that's when you know you're really making progress.
I think that too. So you're saying basically leadership and submissiveness is parallel. Like as soon as he bring that leadership, that your submissive, like your feminine energy should automatically be there with no kind of, I don't know, backup plan.
Yeah. Like if me and you are meeting, right? If man one and female one are meeting, and that man is already in his mind, he's done the work before he even met this girl. He's a leader in his mind. He's got the accolades, the resume to prove it. He's constantly evolving and working on himself. She over here, she's submissive by nature, feminine in her divine essence, all of that. She's doing the work without this guy. Those two meet. That's happening in parallel. Hey, hi, I'm John Doe, Mr. Masculine Leader. Oh, hi, I'm Jane Doe, Miss Submissive Feminine Divine Essence. That's happening in parallel. It's not, hey, I'm Mr. Masculine Man, and she go, hey, I'm Miss Masculine Woman, but let's see if you can turn me into Miss Feminine Woman. It's like, bro,
right,
that don't even work. Doesn't work like that.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
Men are willing to work with you to sweep up them leaves in the yard. All we want is you to acknowledge that there's leaves in your yard and you want them swept up and ask us for help to sweep them up.
But what about the women that come in their feminine and then the man is the man is feminine?
Then you're with the wrong man.
Okay, but how would we know unless we have the conversation?
But that's what I'm saying. How many conversations do you need to have with that guy before
Just one.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't waste your time. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, you again, it's an Etch-a-Sketch. Give everybody a clean slate. But if the picture he start drawing don't match up, you be like, all right, let me shake this up and move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't the picture I'm trying to look at.
I think the saddest part is that, like, because we live in a culture where it's like the hookup culture, so we were not really trying to get to know each other or really paying attention and stuff like that. We end up with people or end up having sex with people that we don't match with energy. We're just there with each other.
So why do you think women are doing that? Right? Because you're the gatekeepers of sex.
You say it again? You're
the gatekeeper of sex. So why are y'all deciding to have sex with men who don't fit the bill?
Well, I'm celibate, but when I was in my stages, I think I was doing it out of just loneliness, and so anybody would do. And even though I wanted a masculine man, the easier men to approach for me, and that's why I agree. I call myself, like, my old self used to be like F-girlish, because I knew that, like, I didn't know it was feminine, but I knew that there were men that I could manipulate into giving me what I wanted, and I used that so that I wouldn't be lonely. So I think a lot of women thrive out of their move out of their loneliness, like.
So a lot of those men, right, the ones that you claimed to be involved with in your past, Did you really go at them,
Well, not
or did they kind of pursue you and then you saw them for who they were and then figured out where to place them accordingly? Like, in other words, oh, I see what I can get out of this guy, because you're not the pursuer by nature. You're not out here trying to DM dudes, walking up to dudes and yada yada. But you see who comes to you and then you decide where you want to put them, right? So it's a passive mindset to begin with. Because as a man, you gotta initiate. So the men that have been initiating themselves to you were probably lesser caliber dudes at that time, but because it was convenient for you, there was no challenge, there was no need for you to have to prove yourself. Then you just had to fall back and take what's easy, right? Why go out and hunt if I could just have DoorDash? It don't make sense. Let me just call a dude and bring it to my front door, or let me go out into the wilderness and fucking risk my life and death to try to slay a dragon. Why? I could just have DoorDash show up at McDonald's.
Right.
So, you know, that's what you were doing. And then, of course, the quality of food is not going to be high.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Right. But, like, because I'm just speaking from what I know. This is my experience. It's easier to get men that way. Like, right now, I'm in a group or whatever. I had to seek out productive men. But if you just want like a man that's not gonna really have value to the value, that you can find those anywhere. All you have to do is, you don't even have to be in your feminine. You don't even have to be dressed up. You could just go to the store. They're gonna be like, "Hey, little mama." Those kind of men are the easier ones to be like, well, heck, I need, I don't want to be lonely tonight. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I know for me, as when I went through my whole divorce and stuff like that, I didn't really want to commit, but I didn't want to admit that to myself. But that's the truth. I didn't want to commit, and I knew these men were not a caliber of men that I would ever commit to or submit to. So I kind of did it on purpose. And I came to that realization that I was literally picking men that I could sabotage the relationships with because I really didn't want to commit. But I want to seem like I'm trying. So these men, I know that they're going to make me a victim in a minute. So, and when I came to this reality that I was doing that, and it's something that a lot of people probably will never admit to, I realized that I was purposely picking the wrong kind of person so that I can leave out as the victim and keep my status of a good person, good woman. And I was like, but that's wrong, because we're talking about F boys, but I was an F girl in a way, because that's manipulation and that's tactic and strategy, Damn,
so, you might want to stop while you ahead, because you giving too many gems right now.
I'm just saying, and that's, people are not going to admit that to themselves, because it took me a long time to see that. It took me this year when I had to step away from sex. I had to step away from men. I had to step away from a lot of stuff and really dig in me. And I was like, wow, this is why I'm single, because I really want to be single, but I don't know how to be single, because the world is saying, like, you're a single mom, you should be with somebody. So I have to pretend like I'm trying, so.
Damn, you just said so much. Like, that's a lot of shit that I think a lot of us fellas have realized, right? But it's almost like it's taboo for us to say that out loud, especially in the presence of other women. So the fact that you're a woman explaining that shit is like, man, that's gold right there. That's some truth.
It is, and it's unfortunately my truth, and I figured it out, and that's why I'm trying to heal, and that's why I'm just trying to hang out with single people, flirt a little bit, but I don't think that I want anything too serious until I get that spark, and but I do come off very like wifey material, so I'm pretty sure a lot of men probably think that that's where I'm coming, like I'm trying to do, like, no, that's just my behavior. But trust me, I would rather just live life in my own apartment, you live in yours, and we just have fun together.
Here's the fucked up part, is that you say you coming off as wife material, right? And so I'm not gonna take away from that, but what I'm saying is that in the man's perspective, it's so rare for women who look like you to say that to us it might be like, whoa, shit, that's wifey right there. But to The rest of the world, that's just regular female behavior.
Yeah.
And I say us as in our community, right? Because we're both black. We're Black Americans having this conversation, and we understand that there's a unique perspective around our culture in terms of our male-female dynamic and interpersonal relationships. So to hear a black woman say all of the truth bombs that you've dropped on this call is important for us to hear, because there are a lot of women who look exactly like you that will never admit that. And so a lot of us men have been involved with those type of women, and we've been like, man, it's just too many girls that fit that description before I just start not even looking there altogether. And it's not to shun off in a particular color of people or anything. It's just the mindset and the approach, because that's happening in every culture and color right now. There's women who think like, oh man, I don't need no man, that ain't no color. But I'm saying specific to our culture, because that's just the only culture we can identify with, really, is that's been the pervasive issue as to why I felt the need to have these types of conversations with folks who are willing to tell the truth. Because aside from this convo, that's what I'm doing on this channel. I'm dropping truth from my perspective, but it's the truth though. It's not like a bunch of fluff and trying to make people just feel good and send them on their way and not give them any tangible outcomes. Because if I just give you all of that, yeah girl, you don't need niggas ain't shit, that's not gonna ultimately get you the outcome you want. And so having you being able to drop some of that insight and knowledge from the female perspective is key. And I hope that other women who do hear that message and say, hey, you know what, maybe it's okay to kind of relax my guard a little bit. Maybe it's okay to say the truth out loud to the man that I'm dealing with, because perhaps, who knows, maybe I could be wrong, but perhaps that would actually drive a better connection between the two of y'all. Perhaps that would bring y'all closer instead of further apart.
Right. And I think that's all our community needs, is we need to start communicating better. We don't. Especially men and women, we're in combat with each other all the time. And it's just like, just tell how you feel. Like, be real. Be real. And I always say, there's a saying, ladies first, right? That doesn't mean you just get first entrance into the doorway. That doesn't mean, when the Titanic goes down, you and the children get to go first. It also means when it comes to the communication and the vulnerability, you got to be first. Because by nature, that's already what you're described to be. You've been designed to be vulnerable. Anatomically, you're vulnerable. So why would somebody who God has blessed far more with being able to articulate emotions, why would they also not be the same person that's going to then turn around and try to act super masculine and act like they don't got emotions? That's a misalignment within themselves. And so a lot of times we as people will project our own misalignments onto other people. Well, women need to start doing knowing damn well I ain't doing nothing I'm supposed to be doing. Or men need to start blah blah blah, knowing damn well y'all not doing what y'all supposed to be doing to attract the right men. Because are there good men out here? Yes. Are there good women out here? Yes. But a lot of times those two folks ain't crossing paths, or they cross paths and they miss one another because we're overcompensating, or we're trying to give this image that we are something that we aren't. And men who are being honest about that and look at themselves in the mirror and say, I'm not a man where I need to be in a position. Let me start doing the work and improving upon that position, so that when a woman does look across at the table, she's gonna see a man that's worth a fuck, worth some of her damn time. Otherwise, I can't put nothing on no female. None of that shit is on her to be able to resolve the issues I have within myself. And you alluding to some of the issues you've identified within yourself is gonna make a man more likely to say, hey, I like that. I like that she's being real. I'm gonna help her sweep up those leaves. She may have a few of them that I don't necessarily want to deal with, but everything else, the yard is there's a lot of potential to this yard if she be willing to let me help her sweep these leaves up. But if she go in front, act like her yard is the shit, when all I see is shit in the yard, then I'm not gonna help her. I'm gonna go move somebody else. I'm gonna go to her neighbor. Yeah.
because her neighbor's nice. Her neighbor also got leaves in the yard, but her neighbor said, hey, big strong man, can you come help me sweep these leaves up?
Right.
He gonna be like, yes, because we want to feel needed, just like y'all want to feel needed. The problem is that you've been made to believe that the way we need y'all is the way y'all need us. And we both bring different things to the table. So let's be honest about what we bring to the table, both good and bad.
Right.
And then work out our differences on that table. Let's come to the table and work out our differences. Let's negotiate.
Yep. That's what it is, coming to the table.
You know?
Yeah.
Man, I think that was key, man. That was a great conversation.
Yeah.
I
was a little too honest, I think.
Oh no, I might have to clip out some of the parts, yo.
But
she was being real here. Let's cut that out. Hold on.
Right.
Let's put a bleep over it.
Help somebody to have self-awareness, because that's what I'm going to start, preaching to anybody. Like, self-awareness is important. That's how you change, and that's how you become better and attract better people. So
1,000. So I don't think you and I are done. I think we got some more conversing to do down the line. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and we're gonna circle back and get these people these gems. You feel me?
All right.
No doubt. That was Jay Shantae. It's your boy Jay Thoughts signing off. Again, always hit that like, that share, that subscribe. Help this channel grow tremendously. We out.